What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Chinnist. Today is June 13th, Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. I have my haul here of 31 with 25 different titles. I have read through the stack. Starting off with DC, we have The Man of Steel. Great issue so far, a great overall miniseries in my opinion. It sounds like Bendis is not getting a very good ratings on this one, from what I've heard online. I think he's doing a great job in my opinion. I'm not too sure about the red underwear on the outside again. I'm not really sure about that, but man, so far, great job on this one title. So we have, I forgot his name, is it Rogel Thor or something of that nature? First appearance in that DC Nation #0. But yeah, comes to Earth, goes straight for Kal-El's Fortress of Solitude, and just completely just destroys that thing, man. He just obliterates it. So Kal-El comes back, a little bit upset because that one city that he had that's miniaturized, forgot what it was, forgot what that little town and that little bottle was, gets completely just ticked off along with Supergirl. So they're out to go find who is after Superman. What is going on here? Who would have possibly have done this? So they're trying to piece it together, but we come up with a fight at the very end. Won't give that away, but that next issue, #4, looks to be like a good battle. So yeah, enjoy this one, Man of Steel. Alright, next up, The Immortal Man. This is another one I think most people that I've heard reviewed, that's not into this one, disagree, man. I really enjoy this one so far. At #1, I was on the fence. #2 is what really got me, kind of started explaining some of the main characters. #3 carried on pretty well. So, in my opinion, I love the X-Men. X-Men is where I started off in comics. The superhero power team is what I always, kind of gravitate towards. As you see in my hauls, I love all types of storylines, horror, sci-fi, what have you. But, man, I really always gravitate back towards the superhero team. This one I really felt was just like the X-Men. It's like the X-Men kind of tied into like that dark metal series that they just kind of concluded here on the DC side. So you have this one guy. His name is the Immortal Man. This guy is kind of like Charles Xavier. So he is like Vandal Savage power. He can't die apparently. But like Charles Xavier, he kind of sought out like other superheroes along the millennia. So I forgot how old this guy was, but he's like, thousands of years old. Somehow he shared his immortal power with certain humans or certain meta-humans that he felt were, had a good moral compass, that, they always strive to the good, like the Jedi ways. So this guy kind of collected those people along the way. Apparently he had like 200 or 300 disciples. All super powerful, super strong. In comes the Batman who laughs, who is actually controlling this other lady. I forgot what her name was, but she's so, apparently so super strong, she killed off all the 300 immortals that he had followed, or that he had built up the school, just like Xavier. So yeah, pretty cool storyline in my opinion, just like X-Men, or very, very similar too. So yeah, I enjoy this one so far. Alright, The Flash. One of the main titles that I really love on the DC side. We are into the Flash War. So we've had like a couple of preludes, kind of out there, kind of things kind of building up to it. Part 1 a little bit slow. This part #2 is what really, sets the entire storyline here. So what you find out is Eobard Thawne, who goes by Zoom. He's gone by both Reverse Flash and Zoom, pre and post Flashpoint. Wally West has gotten all his like missing memories back. This one does a pretty good job of kind of like tying in the Flashpoint and everything that's kind of gone on, with Wally since then. Very, very cool concept here, because I was always wondering, how would they come up, into some sort of fight. I just could not see Barry Allen and Wally West, really coming, at ends. But this does a really good job of explaining why. So you have the very first confrontation between Wally West and Barry Allen, which then leads to him kind of blowing up and trying to get into the Speed Force and trying to set things right. Barry Allen's already gone through this with Flashpoint, trying to stop Wally West. So that's what really this is all about. Wally's trying to get his kids back, and Barry Allen just will not allow him to mess with the Speed Force. So very cool concept, great job so far. Alright, next up, Titan Special. So a lot of people are trying to pick this one up on speculation, trying to see if the Upside Down Man, this new villain who's about to be introduced here pretty soon, people are trying to speculate which issue is going to be his first appearance. So this one actually sold out online. So I picked this one up as well because it sold out, just to let the speculators know, Upside Down Man is not in this one episode, this one issue. But this one was a pretty good issue, a little standalone nonetheless. So this one is really a tie-in between that last No Justice and the Justice League going forward. So there was a couple tie-ins between Justice League and Titans in the past. I thought it was pretty good. The Titans really felt like the Justice League were just kind of like parents just trying to, control them. There's no reason for that at this point in time. They're grown adults. This one kind of explains why, they talk about the past a little bit and they talk about the future. So this one tries, really sets up where the Titans, if they're going to, and I'm sorry, they're not going to be called the Titans. It's going to be some sort of Justice League task force dealing with metahumans going forward. Come to find out, they will be in the Hall of Justice, and Dick Grayson is kind of going around collecting his teammates. Very cool. This really sets it up going forward. I did not read the Titans going into this whatsoever. I picked up a few of the Titans Rebirth #1s and here and there, but didn't really keep up with the storyline. I think I will be picking up the Titans going forward, to tell you the truth, after this one. Alright, next up we have Hawkman. So this was the Hawkman, or Return of Hawkman #1. Or I'm sorry, just Hawkman #1. I am not really a Hawkman fan. I picked up the cover B because, really enjoyed this cover over the cover A. So, Bryan Hitch. So, I know there's a lot of Bryan Hitch lovers out there. Bryan Hitch, to me, has, is just really, more of an average artist for me. And I know he's, maybe like a top 5 or top 10 artist for a lot of majority of the comic readers out there. He just never really did it for me personally. So, on top of that, Hawkman, I was never really a big fan of. Back in the day when I used to watch the Justice League cartoons, Hawkman was just kind of okay, but when I started reading the comics, I kind of found out, like, oh, those wings are just armor that he wears. He's just like a regular guy who, kind of has reincarnated from time to time. I don't know, I kind of lost interest in Hawkman. So, reading through this one issue, kind of like a, it could be like a little standalone, so to speak, kind of setting up the rest of the series, but, if you're a Hawkman fan, I would say go ahead and pick this one up. If you're a Bryan Hitch art lover, pick this one up. This one just isn't for me, personally. Alright, next up, Batman. So this was yet another standalone Prelude to the Wedding, which is coming up here, I think 2 more months, I believe. But I've been picking up the one-shots here and there. Love the past 2 that occurred. So, one with Talia and Robin, very touching. I really enjoyed that one. The other one was with Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, kind of talking about the best man and who the best man's going to be. It's not going to be Dick Grayson. So, I really enjoy those 2. This one, not so much. So I'm not really a Batgirl fan, so to speak. So to speak. But just kind of looking at this little one-shot here, was my intention going into this. And, this one I felt was really passable. If you are trying to get all the wedding, every single issue about the wedding out there, and you're a completist, go ahead and pick this one up. But as far as just like a standalone storyline, this one did not really do it for me. I would not really recommend to pick this one up as a standalone, unlike the other 2 that came out. I would say go pick up the other 2 that came out. But yeah, I would pass on this one. Alright, next up, Sideways. So yet another hero that I enjoyed coming out of the new age of heroes. However, this one issue, which, deals with the showman, this was just a little bit, kind of like a little one-shot, just like a one little battle that he has. You could see him kind of still learning about his, his trial and errors as being a superhero. So that's pretty cool, a little bit more of a character development here along the way during the battle with the showman. But yeah, just pretty decent decent issue so far. I've enjoyed the previous issue so far, to tell you the truth. But yeah, the artwork, I still really enjoy this artwork, and I really give this artwork maybe like a 4 out of 5. I really thought it worked well with this superhero type of style. So yeah, Sideways. Okay, issue number 24 was apparently the very final issue of New Superman. Of course, along the way, they changed the title to be New Superman and the Justice League of China. So I really enjoyed this one so far. They try to kind of wrap this one issue up, just trying to, talk about the team and, where they've been. They really tried to wrap up. They introduced this ghost dimension, not too many issues ago. They try to kind of wrap up like what that was, and this is kind of rushed in my opinion. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with this title or the characters going forward. I have not really been keeping up with that. I really enjoyed Kane and Kong and this team they kept put together for this title. If y'all know what's going to happen to this team or Kanan going forward, please let me know down in the comments. But yeah, New Superman, the very last issue here, number 24. Alright, next up, Detective Comics. So this was yet another issue that actually sold out due to speculation on Upside Down Man. So for speculators out there, he did not appear here. There's no cameo of him here. However, this was a pretty good, single, like one-shot little story that they tell here. Very decent Batman story in my opinion. The artwork is completely different from any other Batman title or any other Detective Comics that I've seen, in the past. This was really more like that, what's that title? Batman Creature of the Night is really what this artwork was, in my opinion. So a lot more different, a lot more darker, creepier, in my opinion. I'll kind of leave it here. But yeah, I really enjoyed this artwork here. Storyline was pretty decent, just like a one-off little adventure with Batman. But yeah, pretty decent. If you're looking for like a little one-off Batman story, pick this one up. But there is no Upside Down Man. Alright, next up we have Plastic Man. So this is by Gail Simone, her name's down here. So I'm a Plastic Man fan. I love his little banter, his humor that he kind of throws out there. However, I was not too impressed with this one issue, to tell you the truth. So the artwork was just kind of was pretty decent. I give this one maybe like a 2.75, 3 out of 5 in my opinion. However, the storyline, the dialogue, it just did not, capture me. It did not, man, there is no, urge to pick up a number 2, from my side. Even though I really enjoy Plastic Man, I think it was just the storytelling and the dialogue. Gail Simone, I really only enjoy maybe like 10% of what she does. I know she has a huge fan base out there. I just really have not enjoyed a lot of what Gail Simone has done in the past. So yeah, I'm going to be passing up number 2 on for that one. Alright, one that I really enjoyed, we're going to switch over to Marvel now. So on the Thor side, I was able to pick up, this was the character design. So picked one up. I saw this one going, I think it listed at Midtown for $10. So picked this one up at cover price at my LCS. And also picked up, this was the James Herron Connecting Hammer variant. So this is number 1 of 5. So I saw this one was going for $10 on Midtown as well. I think listed at $10. So yeah, happy to pick those 2 up. So this was one title, so I've not been picking up too much Thor. I picked up Thor, Unworthy Thor. I really enjoyed that one. I picked up Thor mainly in trade. However, so getting through this one, the artwork I am not a fan of, and I forgot who the artist was on this one, but was really not Christian Ward. And it may be more the coloring more than anything else, but I guess he did both. He did all the artwork. So it's like that matte pencil, like soft, style that I just really, it's hard for me to connect to in any type of like major superhero type of storyline. However, so artwork on this, I would give only a 2 out of 5. I'm really not a fan of this artwork. However, the storyline and the dialogue, oh man, I thought this was like a 4.75 out of 5 on the storyline side of things. Man, I love this one, man. So for sure I will be subscribing to this title on a floppy basis going forward, on a monthly basis. But man, really loved it. So of course he lost his hammer. His hammer was sacrificed in order to bring back Jane Foster. So he has the elf making him a new hammer, and he can't find a hammer that he, can connect to or is strong enough, and he's testing this out on the ultimate juggernaut, who is on the planet of Sidorak, or wherever Sidorak was originally from. So this is pretty cool. Loved it, man. Great dialogue. I love his little hellhound that he has around that he picked up in Unworthy Thor, that little miniseries. Man, great banter between the two. Man, love this. So yeah, Thor by Jason Aaron. This was the new renumbered #1 that just came out this week. Loved it. Check it out, guys. All right, next up, yet another spec buy that saw this was sold out. Didn't really know why. I think it was due to people speculating if Sue Storm was going to be coming back here or not. For the speculators out there, no, there is no Sue Storm. So at the first LCS, I really wanted this cover, but the first LCS only had this one, so I picked it up. Second LCS had this one. I'll put this one into the spec box, put this one to the PC. This was a pretty good standalone storyline, nonetheless. It really deals with Victor Von Doom. Brings his childhood and why he is the person who he is today. It kind of does quite a few flashbacks, to his childhood. I really enjoy this one issue just because of Victor Von Doom and kind of seeing his, why he ticks, So in addition to that, I loved the Hickman run where he introduced all the other Reed Richards multiverse Reed Richards. So this one kind of, deals with that as well. So between those two items, man, I thought this was a pretty good, standalone storyline. But the Fantastic Four, in its entirety, not there yet. All right, next up from Marvel again, we have Star Wars Darth Vader. Great issue here. So, for the people who used to, read all the old storylines and knew what all those old legend storylines used to be, the Mon Calamari, so they have those huge cruisers that are like the strongest in the Rebel Empire. You kind of heard stories that, at one point in time, the Calamari were like wiped out, and those were the very last Calamari that were on those cruisers, but they never really gave you any explanation why. This issue completely explains everything. Really deals with this one guy. I forgot what this guy's name was. I gotta figure that out quick. But Bar is what this guy's name was. So you find out this guy who, he used to be a Jedi Padawan, but he never became a full Jedi by any means. He outlived Order number 66, and then he kind of, as you see, through some storytelling, he kind of got away from the Jedi ways, in its entirety. But come to find out, he kind of masterminded this entire thing, and you kind of find out this guy is the sole reason why the Mon Calamari were almost wiped off the face of the galaxy. So very cool reveal here, man. Very cool storytelling in my opinion. So yeah, Darth Vader, Charles Soule did a great job on the storytelling in my opinion. And pick it up if you're a Darth Vader fan. All right, next up, another Star Wars Thrawn. Cool title, however, I would say only if you are a Thrawn fan would you pick up this one title. Kind of like a character study of who he is, why he is, how he came to be. Pretty cool storyline, but for the just for the casual Star Wars reader, would not really suggest this one title in my opinion. But if you're a Thrawn lover, pick this one up. Alright, X-Men Blue. So in my previous videos, as I said, I pick up all the X-Men titles. I really enjoy all of them out there. This was another pretty cool, like, action-packed issue, kind of dealing with Jimmy Hudson, and a little bit of a carryover from that previous Venom, Venomized, Edge of Venomverse, a little bit of a carryover from that. So pretty cool. Again, a lot of action that occurred here, but a little bit of a carryover from that last Poison storyline that occurred. So if you are a fan of that one, check this one out again. Okay, staying on that symbiote run, we have Venom. So this is number 2. This is by Donny Cates, a writer that's completely on fire right now. So this Venom number 1, I picked up that number 1 just to have a number 1, Donny Cates. I was not expecting to pick up the ongoing monthly floppies. I really was going to pick it up in trade. However, that number 1, kind of captured me. They kind of did like a little retcon to explain that, Peter Parker during the Secret Wars #2, what is that, issue #7, where he picks up that symbiote who later becomes Venom. That was not actually the very first symbiote that Earth ever saw, whenever Peter came back to Earth. So this one kind of retcons like the symbiotes to where, there's this ancient symbiote that they really don't say how long it was here, but it may have been like thousands of years. The Earth government found it and gave samples of it to some of their military foot soldiers who were like on the brink of death. So they got like a little like Venom squad, which is going to be a separate, I think it's called Nom, I think, or Venom, I think is what that new title was going to be. But kind of dealing with those super soldiers that the government created from the ancient symbiote. And here you kind of get a glimpse of that ancient symbiote. Very, very cool, kind of like a space dragon. But yeah, Venom. Actually, let me see if I can find that ancient symbiote real quick for y'all. That's pretty cool. Here we go. So yeah, let's just leave it on this little 2-page splash, but a very cool concept, the way they actually retcon this entire, what the symbiotes are. Very, very cool in my opinion. So yeah, Donny Cates, man, burning it up again. Alright, Hunt for Wolverine. This was one of the Adamantium agendas. So this one kind of dealt when Logan was with the New Avengers, that one title. And this one kind of explains why. Why is Logan so important to, this entire Avengers team at this point in time? But especially Tony Stark. So there's like a little bit of a pretty cool, discussion that they have, between Tony Stark and Logan, which is why they're actually trying to find him today. So pretty cool action in my opinion. So, again, all these titles are really to explain, the importance of Logan to these various characters in the Marvel Universe. I think they're doing a pretty good job in my opinion. Okay, moving on to Image, we have the Magic Order. So this one was part of that Mark Millar world, which was sold to Netflix. They're actually making a series out of this one already. So I picked up another cover A. I think I have like one more cover A coming in through Midtown, if I recall my last week order. And I also picked up, I think this was a cover B or C, but the black and white. And the artist was Oliver Coipel. Great art. So this is probably my pick of the week overall, man. I was highly, highly impressed. So there's a bit of graphic violence, coming up in this one issue I'm about to show, but great stuff. So man, starts off like right off the bat with a straight up murder, man. Just a knife through the head. So you come to find out there is this magic world that exists, within our realm. The people who are able to see it, they're able to learn how to control it, master it, and if they could see that magic world, they're obligated to kind of join this magic order. That's what this kind of explains what's kind of going on. So it starts with like a murder mystery, and they kind of go into explaining who the main characters are. This one female, man, I could tell I will just, this will be my main character that I really enjoy. She's kind of, kind of like a little party girl, drinks quite a bit, but, you tell her magic powers are, very strong. You have a couple of these other characters, they went the more, let's use the magic for money route, and they became like professional magicians up on stage. But this is really the order trying to go through, with that murder. This is what the orders, this is what the order must go through now at this point in time. And you see that there's like a whole vengeful, party that's going to be here. Very, Harry Potter-esque, but like only the adult, side of things in the Harry Potter world that everyone knows. But very, very cool. So I usually shy away from magic, but man, this one issue, whoops, risque there. This one issue really captured me. I could really see this being a TV show. This entire, first issue could be a first episode, easily, right off the bat. As long as it has a correct, CG budget in there. They need the correct computer graphics to make this one look good. So yeah, the Magic Order, highly suggest to pick that one up. So I heard that there's not going to be any reprints in the floppies. I assume they will pick it up in trade or collect it in trade, but there will be no reprints of that #1. So pick it up while it's on the shelf. Alright, so continuing on with Image, Oblivion Song. So Oblivion Song was yet another title to where the #1 was just kind of okay. It was, really issues number 2, 3, 4 that kind of started strengthening that storyline, really started, making me a little bit more intrigued, in this title. So you have the main character, I think his name is Nathan. Nathan. So he's like an military pro who's been to this realm, multiple times in an effort to try to save the humans who are caught up, who were, I guess, kidnapped in a sense. Like the realms kind of merged together and they kind of disappeared. So you find out that there's a whole civilization that's been thriving, in this realm, in this monster realm, and they have no intention of coming back to Earth. So they're trying to stage like a little ambush for Nathan when he comes back, so he doesn't kidnap anyone to be brought back into the real world. Very, very cool concept. You also have some of the main characters who have been in the monster world, and they are straight up just PTSD. So you kind of see like how they deal with being in that monster realm, in the past. So very cool concept, so, kind of similar to the, the Walking Dead, in a sense, but I think Robert Kirkman really did a great job in this Oblivion Song so far. So yeah, really want to see where this one goes. Alright, next up from Image, so a little net, we have, interesting, the Weatherman. So I picked up cover A, and cover B is what I really wanted, but my first LCS didn't have it, so I picked up this cover A. Will go in my spec box, and I'll put this cover B in my PC. So pretty cool concept they kind of started out here, So I enjoy the artwork that kind of went along with the storyline so far. So it follows this Weatherman on Mars. You find out that Earth had like this huge, like cataclysmic issue. I think aliens invaded, or they don't really give too much explanation of what exactly happened, but apparently like billions upon billions of people on Earth died. This entire issue, they're on Mars. Not sure when they colonized Mars or due to the death they left. Not really sure on the timeline there. But this one really introduces and starts to build up the Weatherman, this main character here, and he is an actual Weatherman. He is like kind of like a misfit, kind of like a loser, but he's popular because he's funny on TV, and because he's funny on TV, he's like super popular. But as you find out, this guy is actually the reason why billions of people on Earth died. They haven't explained why, but it's very, very intriguing in my opinion. Very cool artwork that kind of goes along with it. It's nothing's really dull here. It's very, very fast-paced in my opinion. So yeah, really enjoy this one, the Weatherman. Okay, next up again from Image, we have Port of Earth. So this is number 6. This is yet like another title which I felt could easily translate into a TV show. So this one kind of has like a lot of politics kind of built into it. So, if you're not a fan of politics, this may be a little bit slow at times for you, in my opinion. But this one issue definitely had the most action than any other issue so far, to my recollection. This entire issue is pretty much like straight up action. But again, this is kind of like an alien, kind of like a realistic alien, like what if they came to Earth, and like how would we interact with the cultures, what are the positive, negatives that could come out of it. So pretty cool concept, Port of Earth. Alright, next up we're going to move on to Aftershock. This is a walk through hell. This is number 2, man, that number 1, totally into it. I actually subscribed to this one when I read the number 1 issue in the previews. So, not too much explanation as to why, So you have just tons of people going into this one warehouse building, and when they come out, they are just, there's nothing right in their head. They are just, schizophrenic, delirious in a sense, and they're all suicidal. No explanation why. You have the 2 main FBI agents who actually went into the warehouse. Once they go in there, apparently you know, it seems like they're dead. It's like they are in like a limbo, you know, type of realm. So this is pretty graphic coming up, but you have, you know, someone who's tried to commit suicide inside of the warehouse, and it's like this weird dream state because this guy's like still alive, but he keeps on shooting himself in the head just over and over and over again. So this is like that very creepy, you know, weird, like what is going on type of horror storyline. Highly enjoy it so far. Garth Ennis, man, there's quite a few storylines I really love by him, like a weird, like conceptual type of guy, you know, in my opinion. So yeah, I like a lot of storylines by him. Okay, next up, another one from Aftershock, and yet another title by Donny Cates, Babyteeth. Babyteeth, a pretty cool concept, you know. So you have a woman who is born with a demon, or I don't think it's an Antichrist, but like a very strong demon. This is a little bit, this one issue deals, again, a little bit more of like a background of the main characters. Pretty cool, you know, character development here, in my opinion. Pretty action-packed and a little bit of history here, but nothing dealing too much with the baby itself, or the baby itself. But pretty cool character development here nonetheless. So yeah, Babyteeth. Okay, next up from Boom Studios, we have Mech, Cadet, U. So, you know, as I said before in previous videos, I love, like, you know, giant anime, giant robo style, you know, Voltron, you know, Transformers type of, you know, giant robo type of things. This one, like, really hit that the childhood, like, you know, the fond memories of, you know, kind of growing up with all that robo stuff. So yeah, pretty cool concept. You have the robots who came from like this other, you know, off-world place. They're alive and they merge with humans. Then you have these other like monsters who may actually come from the exact same place that these robots came from, but they're trying to invade Earth, and the robots are trying to defend Earth. So you have, you know, after all these years, you have the government who has been able to study, you know, all the robots who have died. You know, some were actually alive, and they've built their own robots, but they need the robot hearts of the living robots to make their own, you know, artificial, like, super robot. The human kid pilots are trying to save the robots and trying to, you know, in order to save Earth, they're actually attacking the mothership. So pretty cool, and a lot of good action that occurs here. If you're into like the Japanese, you know, giant robots, man, definitely check this one out. So yeah, Mech Cadet U. Alright, last up we have one from Valiant, Bloodshot Salvation. Man, I love this character. Man, so I never really picked up Bloodshot in the past, but these past couple titles, in my opinion, man, really great job. So this one kind of dealt with, so Jessie is out, you know, at the very beginning of this title, she was a little baby. We know why she actually grew into like a, let's say, 10-year-old child, but she's back in the real world and they're trying to figure it out. She has no memory as to why. So on the other side, you have Bloodshot, who's actually in the future now, so 4002 AD. Pretty cool, man. Love this storyline, love the artwork that kind of goes along with this great storyline, in my opinion. So yeah, if you have not checked out the Valiant world, definitely need to be getting into it. So yeah, Bloodshot Salvation. Guys, that's going to be it for this week's brand new haul. Should you enjoy what you see here, please like and subscribe. And we'll talk to you later.